Hello, we are alive. Hold on. Audio be stupid because it is not connected to correct audio. There we go. Now you can hear video game as well as Bob.
Howdy.
Hey there. My name is Arcos Raid. I am a idiot who does streams and a lot of writing. We are doing a bit of Dark Tide today, but we're also discussing a bunch of other things at the same time. We're here doing a little bit of a writer's room day. Yay! Writer's room in this case is just referring to those of us who do fictional writing of some kind, something that we're interested in terms of the different genres that we come from. Mine in particular is Battletech, and Bob is Halo.
Halo, and then a bit of Aliens as well.
Exactly. So we're gonna be playing Dark Tide while discussing, writing tasks and things that have been going on in the world in general, kind of like news information of the day. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing that comes to mind this week so far is the nonsense that has happened this week with Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. We were talking about that a bit a couple days ago, or ultimately just changing the license like that and then the effects it's going to have.
Yeah, it's...
See how that plays out.
A lot of what we talked about last week really had to do with... just kind of giving reference for everybody out there. A lot of what we talked about last week had more to do with, like, what are the implications of what they're saying? What does it actually mean? And from the legal language and a lot of the breakdowns that you found on probably YouTube by now, it pretty much means that, hey, we're a corporation who wants to make money. You make better content than we do, so we want all of it. I would say that's about accurate, right, Bob?
Yeah, that's fairly accurate. Ultimately, just trying to essentially monetize what they've been missing out on, which I get from a corporate standpoint, but at the same time, with how community driven a lot of these things are, that sense of community tends to be very fragile as well.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that they immediately turn their backs on the community that they built up, not understanding what they built up. Like, it's very clear that the people in charge didn't know what they were building and ran into the immediate problem of, oh, I fucked up. So before we continue with this conversation, you were saying which one you wanted to do. Do we want to do a high level one, or you want to do like a new run?
Probably a 2 would be best, because my sharpshooter's level 30 and everything else is level 5, so...
Okay, because my preacher's 13, my psyker's 9, and my sharpshooter's 1.
Yeah, either of them work.
So what do you feel like doing?
I'm gonna run psyker for right now.
Okay, then I will do sharpshooter.
Sounds good. And then hopefully we get a tank and someone else from melee.
Oh, this character wasn't even finished. Oh boy. Hold on, we're gonna go for randomized here.
Oh boy.
I
see what you mean. I'm looking at the stream now. Yeah.
There we go. That's good enough.
Actually looks fairly close to how my zealot looks, because he's just angry drunk Irishman.
Wait, this isn't that. No, that's doing a new character. I don't want a new character. I wanted to do my shirt. Oh, it's because it's just not pulling up. That was dumb. All right, guys. First mistake of the day. Congratulations, I'm stupid. You can all say that in any comment anywhere you would like. It'll probably be everywhere on YouTube.
Ah, well.
Sounds about right.
Can't even blame the drinking yet.
No. I only have water and shrimp scampi.
I just
But
have
it,
water in a can.
but
I have to.
anyways, yeah. Coming back around to the OGL topic. So Wizards is walking it back, obviously,
Hmm.
which they should because they're idiots. But at the same time, I kind of think that the best course of action that they can do at this point, since they fucked up so hard, is just commit.
It could be. Ultimately, it depends on how much they may have hemorrhaged over the short term, and if they're trying to stem that hemorrhaging.
I don't
It's,
think it matters. But, well, actually, that comes back around to something else somebody was talking about earlier. I was watching an interview with Jordan B. Peterson and another comedian who was talking about the fact that, like, in management, middle managers, their only real job is to just not get blamed for shit that goes wrong. When people make bad decisions above them, they want it to go away as quickly as possible. Because they're pretty much the fall guy.
yeah, that does seem to definitely be a thing.
And to me, this feels like a moment of middle management decisions going on.
Which is weird
Because
because new managers shouldn't be anywhere near this sort of legal influence.
you would think, but there have been stupider decisions made with lower level
Yeah,
people plenty of times.
that's true. Well, is it never ascribed to malice? What can be ascribed to stupidity?
Exactly. Um, Going back to those writing roots right there. There's a lot going on with the OGL right now that definitely speaks volumes to how everything is going to proceed going forward. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that this is the nail in the coffin for Wizards of the Coast. Like, nobody was happy. Like, if it was a Fallout game, everybody disliked that decision.
Uh,
Everybody
unfortunately,
disliked
yeah.
that. Nobody liked what happened there. And for that reason, I think that I think that it should be understood that all the other announcements coming out around it, everything that's in reaction to this, is basically we see an opportunity now because Wizards has finally basically admitted defeat. They don't know what to do. They have no idea how to handle their IP. They have no clue of what they're trying to do in terms of their characterization and their content going forward. And it's a perfect opportunity for every third party out there to basically take a piece of the pie and bury Wizards underground.
Maybe at the same. I don't know. It's one of those things where, correct me if I'm wrong, but their parent company is Hasbro, right?
The parent company is Hasbro, but Hasbro is not above burying IP that no longer works for them anymore.
That's fair.
When they give up on things, they give up on things.
Yeah. Although at that point, would it be interesting to see to it go to, I don't know, almost an abandoned license sort of thing?
I don't think it's ever gonna fall quite to that level of bad yet. If it does, that'll be interesting. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, like the biggest thing is that the OGL was a treasure trove for Wizards of the Coast to build popularity to make their game good. And they squandered every step of it.
Which is unfortunate because I would imagine they were making a good amount of money, not just on the, the rulebook sales and all that, but then also the licensed third-party stuff. Because I mean, can't you buy the spin-off stuff on D&D Beyond as well? I imagine they get a portion of that.
Yeah, and a lot of these third-party content creators who actually work with them wholeheartedly, we're giving you a cut of the money anyways.
Yeah.
The people you were most concerned about were people like Paizo.
Mhm.
And guess what?
Ultimately,
You just gave Paizo all the power in the world.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it would have made a bit more sense. I think I talked about it last time, where if it was like, if you're not creating anything by, essentially this is going to go in effect in like 3 weeks, and then if you haven't created anything with it by 3 weeks, you fall under the new license, but everything that was already under creation with the old license is just going to continue as normal. That I think would have gone off a lot better for them.
Yeah.
It still would have potentially crimped, well, it would have crimped a lot of potential growth, but not nearly as much, and it would have maintained most of the goodwill.
Yeah, it would have kept the goodwill while still like locking down the IP and preventing further third-party creations that would ultimately undermine them. But the problem is you undermine yourself even further. But then again, I've been thinking about this recently too. I think partially they may have did this as a ploy to get the other third-party content creators to release their own open licenses.
That would have been interesting.
It
What's the
almost seems like a ploy to get them into the forefront of saying, how are you, who is my actual enemy here? Who is my competition? Who is going to directly challenge me once I do this? And Paizo did it, Cobalt Press did it, a bunch of other people actually did it too, where they made announcements. They're like, yeah, we're gonna go forward with moving away from D&D, and like basically getting those third-party content creators who were on the OGL license kicked off the license because of panic, essentially. They're like, we're gonna go our own direction already. And even though they're walking back some of their statements, I feel like they did that almost in the purpose of being like, let's identify the competition and see what we can do about them. Now, somebody like Paizo, for instance, they got no shot at doing anything about them.
Yeah.
Paizo has been there forever. They come from 3.5, but they made their own system. They're already on Pathfinder 2e. They know that they separated themselves a long time ago. And their announcement of an open gaming license was pretty much a ploy to quickly snatch up as many people as possible into their system as long-term users going forward. Because Paizo knows that the OGL license works in terms of building a community, and it doesn't undermine their content because they own all the base. And anybody who creates new stuff with them, they're readily and willing to work with them in terms of getting it monetized in a way that's functional.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. Ultimately, it's only been a week, I think. Less than that.
Yeah.
So they've got some time. Alright, this works. I don't know if you've seen The Fifth Element, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. Because
Great
otherwise
movie,
we're
by the
gonna
way.
have-
For any of
Otherwise
you
we're gonna
kids
have-
out there who have never seen it, go fucking watch it.
I promise the French occasionally know what they're doing.
To be
That
fair,
movie
the
is
French make better
true.
comic books than they make war.
They make some really good comic books, though, and they also do make some pretty good war as well. It just tends to be not when we need it.
Yeah, and it usually tends to be against themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, I'm uncertain how much we can rant about current events on Twitch, so yeah.
You can do some ranting about it, but it's more of a you just watch. You don't say anything. You don't say anything that has offensiveness to it built in.
That's fair.
But I mean, current events are current events. The news, if the news can talk about it, you can talk about it. It's one of those things where you have to leave it in
let's not take that
context.
too far. Yeah.
What you're referring to is the current quote unquote French Revolution going on, where they're burning down half their own city.
Yeah, a bit of that, and then well, they're pulling. I think they've publicly announced that they're also pulling out of the Sahel region and all that, so Burkina Faso. And that.
Oh, so the
Mali,
French
I think, as well?
are giving up their holdings in Africa. Is what you're saying?
It's less. Well, I mean, technically they did that a long time ago. It's more. They're finding certain organizations not workable.
Mm-hmm.
Especially certain governments, and then just the region in general. So, yeah. All right, I just spawned in.
Same here.
There you are.
We're damned. That's why we're still alive. The good and pure are already in their graves.
Too many good are gone, veteran.
Do 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 do.
Kill shot.
All right, stay still. I will kill you with the mine bullets.
I shall kill you with the laser bullets. Even though those aren't bullets.
And now I'm being shot at, as is tradition. Okay, this staff is not working for me. Let's go kill things in person.
But yeah, so speaking of fun writing stuff going on, what is the current project that you're working on? Because I'm sure somebody might be interested.
So I've been playing around with Halo a lot recently, more specifically the whole Far Isle incident, which takes place in 2492, according to the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So that is...
Another abomination sent
Let's
to
see.
oblivion.
How would you describe it for the uninitiated of the Halo universe?
Intact Hive City.
So in the backdrop of the greater games and all that, you have the Human Covenant War, which is what most of the games go through. But before that, you have the Insurrection, which is essentially humanity spread out far enough that we kind of all want space, and then certain people don't want us to leave, so that's where we're at. And the Insurrection starts kind of in 2494, but 2 years prior, there is an incident where a planet essentially drives off the UNSC and local forces, and the UNSC puts it down with nuclear fire. And all we know about the event is really like 2.5 paragraphs, and so I kind of want to flesh that out a little more, see what happens.
Hell yeah. So it's a fun fan fiction story.
Yeah.
The body dies.
Very interesting. I've told you a few times about what I'm working on, but I guess I'll reiterate for anybody out there who's not heard. I do a bunch of RPG stuff, so one of the things I work on is a set of modules for the Time of War game for Battletech. I am also working on a light novel as well, which should be coming out in February.
Nice. Definitely looking forward to that one.
Yep.
And that is the... Ian, tell them where it's publishing?
I'm gonna save on that one until later.
Fair enough. I didn't want to jump the gun there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna jump the gun on that one yet. It is a conditional contract, but I'm saving on that until it gets approved, because it still has to go through the approval stage, but there's a possibility that Catalyst could publish it.
Nice.
But I am still getting approval. But they are interested, so maybe it'll be a semi-official light novel series in the Succession Wars. Oh God!
You went near it.
I didn't realize it was there.
Also not helping matters is I picked up the Grimoire, so here we are.
Oh God!
Yeah, you're gonna die.
I'm blocking. Shoot it!
And Trapper decided to make himself known.
Get in!
Ah, flamethrower. Yeah, no, you're just gonna die, dude.
Yeah, I'm dead. Oh well. I did not realize it was there.
Oh well.
It happens.
More
Yeah.
shots on top.
It only killed you and then left, so that's better than normal.
Mm-hmm.
I need that!
Oh, the Grimoire looks weird. Should I drop the Grimoire? Grab the med pack? I don't know.
I don't think anybody needs it for a mission. But,
Okay.
well, they said they'll drop ammo. Alright. But, anyways,
It's just funny because I don't use ammo at all.
yeah. I'm the only one who uses ammo. I need a better weapon at some point. I
You
need
got the
a...
Ogren too. Oh, you're a new character. You basically just have the las gun, which is still alright.
Yeah. But I'm gonna keep my shovel.
Well, yeah, Shovel Brigade's awesome.
Shovel warriors are the strongest warriors. That's a reference for another writing thing that's actually kind of fun. For anybody else out there who ever wants to learn about that, let us know. We will definitely talk about the Shovel Knights of the 40k universe.
Oh dear. That can rant about 40k for a while.
I'm sure. I don't think I can go as long as you can, just because I'm newer. But I do love the lore quite a bit, so I do spend some time with it. But anyways, so coming back around to some more writing stuff. Obviously, you're a fan of Battletech as well too, because that's how we originally met, is through Battletech stuff.
Yep.
So, what got you interested in Battletech?
So honestly, I played the Harebrained Schemes game first, and I was like, that's kind of interesting, but my laptop can't run it, so I left it alone for 2 years. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, there's actually more stuff here than I thought, so I started looking into that more, stumbled across the Black Pants Legion and Texas videos, and just kind of went from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely a good
Those-
time then.
Oh yeah, definitely heartily recommend those for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, Tex does a great job at giving the lore in a easily digestible manner.
Yeah. Plus the charity streams go to a good cause, so that's also good.
Absolutely. Also, his voice goes down smooth as whiskey. Even though he doesn't drink whiskey anymore. Like, except occasionally, I think.
We've got a bomber somewhere.
Oh. So, in terms of Battletech writing, what is your favorite?
So I haven't actually looked into the writing too much specifically. I think the only book I've ever actually read all the way through is the one where the Wolverines are the main characters. And honestly, that was more for the memery than anything.
More for the memes. How so?
So there is oh god, I can't remember his name, which is really unfortunate. But there's an artist who does a lot of small, almost comic style art for 40k and also for Battletech as well. And he did one where Sarah McEvity basically just calls
Nicholas Kerensky a bitch.
Yeah, that one.
Which is canon.
Yes, and I had to go because this is great. And also Kerensky is weird.
Yeah, Kerensky is a weird guy. He looks really disheveled at a certain point, too.
You are not wrong.
I mean, the man lived to 102. Let's be fair.
Which is unfortunate. Like, after a certain point, there's just, I'm done.
Well, not only that, like, he lived to 102 fighting in a battle mech till then. Like, he was on the front lines before he died.
Yeah.
Like, a day beforehand. And then he found out that his best friend died, and he died the next day after.
Oh, I was referring specifically to his son, the one who dies in the duel as a referee.
Oh, Nicholas.
Yeah, that dude. That's the one that Ermakevity calls out. I think his dad was dead at that point.
Yeah, no. Alexander was dead by that point, but I was also referring to Alexander in that case. He looks very disheveled. Nicholas is just an idiot. But I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where...
And I don't care what any of you clanners say out there. I have a clanner game on my on the Twitch that you can play. That's a chat game, but I still don't like you.
It's definitely one of those figures where reading through it, at least the summaries of it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand, you know, 2 + 2 = 4, but how did you get 5 out of that?
Yep. It's like somehow you got 6.
I'm going to die because I forgot that I am not supposed to be up front again. There is a sniper out there, and I don't know where they are. I think they might be dead. Oh, there you go. But yeah, that's ultimately how I got into Battletech, and I found the Lyrans to be the least offensive of the Inner Sphere to me personally.
That's hilarious.
That's a little harsh. I ended up liking them the most out of everyone, not they annoyed me the least.
Fair enough, fair enough.
But I'm still very Taurian, which is kind of hilarious because the Taurians are the generic bad guys in HBS Battletech.
I know, right?
And unfortunately, that is still the most character development they get in any of the fiction as far as I can tell.
Well, yeah, if you read through the Reunification War, they have a lot more character that comes from that.
That's fair.
They just feel like old bad guys because they just hate everybody. But they have a reason to hate everybody.
There's a flamer. Ah, cool. On the flamer. Oh, shit. Cool, he's dead now.
But, yeah, I'm a fan of the Taurians as well. I'm a huge fan of them.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
even without...
this character is named Taurian.
Didn't notice that, honestly. But
yeah, I know,
even
ironic,
without
right?
even without the memery that I feel comes up a lot in regards to Taurians, Mage has a good point about this, I will admit. I just generally like them in comparison to most of the other options.
Yeah.
I will continue to make, and I just almost got flung into the void. Ultimately, my argument is that they won the Succession Wars by not playing.
Exactly. The way that you should. Don't be stupid. You don't need to play with fire when you don't need to get yourself burned.
Okay, cool. Plague Ogre instead.
Yeah, that was an easier fight than I suspected it would be.
It's just me and ledges, which is hilarious because I normally like throwing people off of them when I can.
Yeah, instead they throw you.
Yeah. My Sith warrior is disappointed.
I see a ledge!
It's amazing how often that works.
Oh yeah, it's great. That'll have to be another game that we'll do for the writer's room. We'll do Star Wars as well. Well, actually, let's talk about Star Wars since...
Since someone's going through Imperial Agent right now.
Yeah, so for those of you who are out there, I am playing through the final story of the class stories, which is Imperial Agent, which I highly recommend everybody save for last because it is the best story out of all of them.
By far.
By far. But I will say is that it just throws you for a loop at every twist and turn.
You think you know what's going on, and then Act 3 hits you like a truck.
Yeah, like no matter how much you think ahead in terms of like, I'm pretty smart, I think I know where the story's going, I guarantee you will not have thought of what these people have thought of. Because it is just wild how many twists and turns it takes. Which kind of comes back to a reference of what we were talking about the other day in terms of BioWare. And good writing and where has it gone. To me, old BioWare is still present in the Old Republic. I think that Star Wars The Old Republic is a last bastion of what is the stuff that makes good writing still go on. Now, in saying that, there is a caveat.
Yeah.
The caveat is that the Old Republic makes a point of saying what they do and don't like in Star Wars. They're fine with The Mandalorian. They clearly hated all the prequels because they had nothing to do with them.
The sequels, you mean?
Sorry, the sequels. I mean, they don't have any prequel stuff either, to be fair.
Nothing immediately comes to mind, but I'm sure they have something.
They've got some Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, you can have Obi-Wan Kenobi's outfit. Particular stuff in Star Wars that they like, they will put in the Old Republic MMO.
Yeah.
I think that's been apparent for a while for a lot of people.
Yeah, they put the Anakin's outfit in only just recently, which was kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Because until I saw it, I hadn't realized it wasn't in there.
Yeah, like you would have never noticed. And they have their own lore and they have their own subset of things. And they've got very good stories, too. I fell. I got launched.
I did not see where you were.
Nope. I got launched
You
down
got-
a shaft.
You got yeeted into the void by the barrel god?
Mm-hmm. Is Shotgun allowed on stream? If no, love in the commentary. Of course, Shotgun, you're allowed to come on stream. Absolutely.
Hey! Come on, Shotgun.
Come join us and talk about writing. Hey, I'm back on my feet.
Nice. Bomber's dead.
Absolutely polite.
Oh, you're perfectly fine. We are just having
Hey,
conversations about writing.
The name was with Haji Bob, and I am not a Haji Bob, so...
That's all right.
We can fix that.
Yeah, that's easy enough
Yeah.
to fix.
Excellent, all the same. Great. So I guess, real quick, getting back where I started listening in, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I really like Torians from a... Cause I like Battletech from a political standpoint, because it's essentially watching a bunch of cultures grow into a microscope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Socially. And I love the Torians because it's an animal that's developed... no, it's that fucking line from Breaking Bad. You're a blowfish, you know? You're not very intelligent, you're not quick, but you're dangerous, and you can blow yourself up. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Torian Concordat is the periphery state that evolved and adapted to never be land grabbed again, because to be land grabbed is to poison whoever the hell tries. It's a good
fair.
strategy. It's a survival tactic. Just think about it. The Outworlds Alliance gets by because we will protest you, and you will look bad. That's how the Outworlds Alliance survives as a periphery state. That's really how they have a good militia system, but if anybody invades you, they really have no recourse. Praetorians will feed you a nuke, and nobody wants to deal with it.
It's like, I don't care if you want this land and I want it too. I will nuke it just so you don't get it.
They also kind of
Yeah,
fall into the same category, or rather... so, sidestepping briefly, but coming back to this. One of my arguments in 40k is the Imperium could basically wipe out any of the other factions. It's just mustering to do it would cause them to be vulnerable to the rest of them in the meanwhile. And that's essentially what the Taurians force on whoever tries to fight them.
No, exactly. You will lose too many men here, and it will affect you elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you can stop me, but you're not going to stop everybody.
Oh, yeah, no. No, that's the point. I mean, this is what Liao learned, right? You try to invade the Taurians and try to play better playbook. Here, you will earn 4 dead planets. Good for you. You've lost billions in material and men, and now you...
We shall
you
kamikaze one of our aerospace fighters to kill your clan leader. So you have to end the war for a year.
There is a sniper somewhere, but I can't... Oh, there.
Yeah,
There
there they are.
Sorry.
I got him.
But back onto Star Wars. I apologize for derailing.
Oh, no, you're fine. We're here to discuss all types of writing, everything from Battletech to Star Wars to your mom.
Wow, that's
Somebody
a big
has to
book.
have comedy in this group.
No, usually not me.
If Mage Leader isn't going to be here to provide it, I guess I will.
Fair enough.
I just call the stopper plug once or twice, and then that should appease the mage gods.
The mage gods. Oh dear.
Oof, I got knocked down now.
Oh, this is not good.
Griffey the Wise! Nork is picking me up.
Alright, cool.
The Ogren gameplay always looks so goddamn fun. Just cathartic.
It really is. The
I big,
Altered
I
Perspective takes a
strong,
lot to get you.
I smash.
Well, honestly,
the
just
fact
being a
that
head taller than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the same reason why I really like playing the dwarf in Vermintide, because you got that tiny little guy. It's a lovely perspective.
Yeah.
It makes it all the more impressive when you play the Slayer and you whop yourself right to the face of some sort of fucking troll and rip its face off. You feel like a tiny tiger.
My bad.
I think we need to leave.
Yes, over where Knock is.
You sanctioned.
Knock or Nork? It's Nork.
I don't know.
It's
Well,
Nork.
then he's
Like,
hurt.
Nork.
N-O-R-K. I believe that is
Yeah.
a Nork.
Yeah, but if I do that, I'm just gonna start calling him North Korean.
Well, I guess that's one way to go.
Eh. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think...
it's just like I said. Okay.
Well, it's probably better that I don't say I'm gonna get myself in trouble there.
Probably.
But
anyways.
man, look at him with a filter.
We'll see how long it lasts. I'm not drinking yet.
Well, based off of who we're talking about, the clanners will have less of a filter.
Jesus.
Yeah, but they're
No,
fictional,
I just-
so I
Okay.
can be racist.
All right. Honest
Social memory
opinions.
TV.
Honest opinions. I will start. I hate the clans.
Alright.
I think they are terribly written.
It's one of those things where I see what they were going for, especially with the whole, band of 20 narrowing down slightly. And essentially, the idea was to create as close to aliens as they could without actually making them aliens. And I think they largely succeeded in that.
I think that part's fine. I think they're still
Yeah.
just stupid.
Honestly, where I start to have a problem, well, yeah, the warrior culture, a lot of the warrior culture stuff it's stupid because by not being alien, they're still human, and so a lot of the human stuff still gets attached to them, especially with how much of the warrior culture is a mishmash recycle in universe, not going after the authors or anything. Ultimately, where I think they kind of fall apart is the War of Reaving, where they just essentially everyone gets filtered down to there are 4 outside, there are 4 inside, and everyone else dies.
Yeah. I think that part was stupid. I think that the Crusaders themselves should have had more learning going on while they were crusading. Like, they can't be that fucking obstinate.
Mhm.
Like, when you get your ass kicked, you generally tend to reflect on, that sucked.
Yeah.
You would say so, but historically, certain groups haven't. The Japanese sure as fuck didn't learn their lesson.
Oh, no.
I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying, realistically,
I know.
if you look at the war in the Pacific, they kept throwing good money after bad, just like, we'll do it, and you did. You can't, as a tiny island nation, fight the juggernaut. And it's the same thing with the clans. I always like the clans because, ironically, they're more Kurita than Kurita will ever be, because they are a geographically small, isolated force.
clanner.
You are more Charitan than the Charitans. At least Charitans have the damn sense to use economics of force to drown you in light max. Kurita's madness works because it's the madman strategy. No one wants to fight Charitans. Nobody in the inner sphere likes Charitans. Charitans are the closest thing to Nazis the entire area has, but nobody wants to fight them because to fight them is to fight them to the death. There is no surrender for a Charitan soldier, be he a dirty foot slogger or a mech warrior. His job is to drive that cicada straight into your Atlas, one way or another, baby. Meanwhile, clanners don't even have that. Clanners don't even have, suicidal bravery. Clanners will fucking back down the moment you start making things too ugly. And that's their problem. is that realistically the clan invasion should have never worked, because what the Inner Sphere should have started doing is breaking out the Age of War rulebook. Oh, they have warships? Well, we have anti-ship guns that we built during the Succession Wars. We'll just dust those off. God, it's just one of my favorite things. I talk with a lot of guys on the Everything Battletech thing, especially in the fanfic. One dude's like, I'm working on this AU where the clans invade from the south. Like, what do you think about that? I'm like, I don't think they get past the Taurians, really. Because the Taurians would make this such a nasty, brutal fucking conflict that it would demoralize them. Like, we're not even talking about the fact that if the clans had to go and strategically glass every fucking planet, because every fucking militia refuses to, from my cold dead hands, son of Kerensky, well, then what happens, and what inevitably occurs, is you would have the Wardens and the Crusaders start having it out. Like, this is not what Kerensky wanted. He wants to just blast every planet indiscriminately for some perceived notion of Star League's nobility, and then the Crusaders would say, oh, fuck them, though. They have no honor. They're bandits. We can nuke them as we wish. And that's the issue.
Admittedly, the Taurians would also
that
be a lot more zealous, because it's another Kerensky all over again.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. Why the fuck weren't the Curetans equally as zealous? Because that's the Curetan motto. That's their motto. I understand Theodore was a more moderate emperor coordinator, but that doesn't change the reality that the average Curetan soldier on the ground would, rather see his planet burn than fall to some foreigner. The Japanese guys.
At least in regards with Kurita and the clan and all that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. They ended up finding the one warrior culture that was better at one-on-one duels than they were. Now, admittedly, this was because clanners cheat out the ass, and they don't like to admit it, but there we are.
I have won honorably. No, you shot him with a fully automatic rifle, and you armed him with a spear, but it was honorable.
Just the technological difference.
Oh, no, I mean, you're right. It's the equivalent of us going back in time with Desert Storm era gear, beating the Nazis and going, look how morally superior we are.
I mean, we did that. That was called Desert Storm 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's fair. You get my point. You aren't the morally superior faction just because you decided infrastructure good.
I will stand by that statement.
Yeah.
You're not the good guys just because you're evil materialists who believe in nothing. That's another thing that always weirded me out about the clans, is that there's an entire clan whose entire purpose is to take every major extant religion in humanity and somehow meld it into a harmonious series of cults that don't murder each other on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I don't know how you achieve that.
I threw a meme
lying.
in the, plot armor.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by lying. It's like they don't live harmoniously. That's the point.
Well, harmonious for clan standard, I guess.
This is a clan. What is it? Goddamn. I think it's Cloud Cobra. Clan Cloud Cobra is like hyper religious. That's their thing. They got like a dozen different religions. They actually form them into like
that one, I think.
distinct. They form them into distinct little like groups that are called like coils or something. And so the idea is you could have a Buddhist coil and an Islamic coil, and they exist in the same clan, and there's no conflict. Like, that's the thing. Clans can have conflict externally and sometimes internally. Generally speaking, how a clan is supposed to work is internally they're top-down harmonious, air quotes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now that might be harmonious in the same way North Korea is harmonious. You know what I mean?
I mean, execution by anti-aircraft gun, it all works out. I am slightly regretful of the fact you didn't say Muslim and the Hindus, because then I would just point to that mountain range in Afghanistan, which is literally kill all the Hindus up until this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I don't understand how, there are certain things in Battletech that I do like the unfinished book movement, which, so it's an interesting thing that's briefly touched upon in Ideal War, which is one of my favorite books. It's one of Razorfist's favorite books, and that's how I learned it. But in Ideal War, it's stated that generally speaking, the further away you get from Terra, there's this weird cutoff point, right, where at a certain distance away from Terra, religiosity dissipates until you get to about the middle of the Inner Sphere, where all the major capitals kind of tend to rely on that singular area. Because you notice that most capitals in Battletech are actually equidistant from Terra, which is kind of weird. With New Samarkand being the farthest, and technically Merrick's base being the closest. But the
I wonder
further
if
you
that
get
kind
from
of
there,
comes down to how, whatever the predecessor to the Terran hegemony, how they collapsed.
the Terran Alliance. Actually, the Terran Alliance fell apart just due to revolving door politics. The same problems we're seeing like right now. Which is kind of funny. Oh no, what happened, what kicked off the civil war of the Terran Alliance, one of the funniest things to me, is that this up-and-coming politician decided to play the council on both the conservative and liberal side. So he was playing both sides and both parties without stating his initial, allegiance. So one party had him assassinated, and the civil war was the result of everybody pointing fingers at everybody else and saying, no, you killed our future beloved leader. So I didn't kill him, you killed him. And nobody just devolved into savagery. And that's why McKenna had no other choice but to nuke parts of Scotland and Australia and get into a planet.
I mean, it's Australia. Would it look any different?
I mean, to be
No,
fair,
I think it was it stated an island off the coast of Australia. Like, it was more of a demonstration of, look, if you don't, I am totally willing to bomb certain parts of humanity's cradle. Sorry, I've raffled off course. Where were we again?
This is how our conversation's going. I don't mind.
Yeah, no. This is what the writers' room is about. We just do whatever we want. We talk about whatever we want.
No, perfect.
Also,
Well,
I have to try and
well,
find this battery. There it is. Okay.
My overall opinion on the clans is that I enjoy them as antagonists. Clanners make very good antagonists because while they are alien, you also can kind of see the nobility in their ideology. If they ever fucking adhere to it. And that's the issue.
I realized you
that
were all the way over there. Let me go help you, man.
every time I've read about the clans, at no point do they bring up, no, we only fight because we must and to preserve, as much infrastructure as possible. No clan ever made that, actual statement in most of the shit I read. Most of the time it's just, we is superior. We are the inheritors of this glorious legacy by birthright and nothing else. Meanwhile, it feels like if they touted the whole, we don't use nukes, we don't like genocide, but then, this is also my issue. But at no point did they reprimand Smoke Jaguar. That was another thing this guy was talking about. Hey, I want an AU where they invade the South. Well, what you would have is Smoke Jaguar would commit enough atrocities, the clans would stop mid-fucking invasion and replicate them. Just because, you have to. You're making us look bad. By comparison, because Smoke Jaguar nukes Turtle Bay, what should have happened is the knock-on effect of the rest of the Inner Sphere going, oh, okay, you want to play that game. And it would have taken, an actual peace summit for the players to explain their ideology in full, and then explain why they're going to leave Smoke Jaguar out in the cold for the Inner Sphere to clown on. That should have been the reality.
Admittedly, that kind of almost happened in that's why the various, Second Star League units concentrated on Smoke Jaguar for extermination, because there's really no other way to put what happened.
Yeah.
But look,
And just like
you
everything with
understand-
Second Star League, we fucked up.
I am
you
out of
understand
ammo.
using tactical nuclear weapons. If they had nuked a Curitan fortress, everyone would have gone you know what, that's fair. Those bastards won't stop fighting. It's the fact that people were throwing Molotovs at your multi-billion-dollar mechs, and your plan about that was to nuke it. Not send in the troops and try to quell, some civil unrest. I should just atomize the entire city to make a point. That's literally Ameris tier levels of negotiation. Just letting you know.
Okay. Now that you brought that up, then let's talk about the fact that the clans are just Ameris 2.0.
In that they can justify any atrocity with their whack-ass ideology. Yeah.
What do you think?
That they're authoritarian from the top down. Honestly, this is some argument I got into because, again, I write fan fictions because I'm bored. And in mine, I have an Ameris lead a sea people style army from the deep periphery during the Dark Age, and they show up, and someone's like, no one would ever accept an Ameris ever. He's like Satan crossed with Hitler, and I'm like, yeah, but at this time, Malvina Hazen is currently incinerating wheat fields and starting galactic-wide famines just to recruit some guys. What the clans have done and what the clans believe in actually kind of makes Ameris look like, he's bad, but mostly he just broke the Terran hegemony stuff. He didn't come to my neck of the woods.
I don't think Ameris had really political beliefs as expressed beyond just Amaris is in charge. And
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of my.
I mean, that is
He
a
wasn't- he
political
wasn't an
belief in a
ideal.
way. I'm in charge.
Exactly.
this is a
Yep,
one-man vote
universe.
system. I am the man, and I have the vote.
So North Korea.
That's just American. Oh,
But that's kind of my thing, though. It's like even if you were to look
political
at that,
beliefs, we start calling Kim Jong Un just Amaris but fatter.
I like
my
that.
issue with the clans too. So
What are you
I don't know how many
doing?
people
You saw that too, right?
trying to jump to his
Jumping
death.
off.
Stop giving up, sir. There is hope.
I mean, he's no. There might not. Oh, he made it the third
He's
time.
just.
It's
He decided he
over.
was
No.
done.
He's just
Oh, we
dumb.
jumped to the. He's trying to make it to the bottom. Okay.
Okay, we'll say
anyway.
the other striker's on the ball.
But no,
Now,
yeah, the thing is
imagine
that
Kim Jong Un in a band.
the huge issue with planners is that I don't know how they run an economy. I mean, that's kind of my favorite thing about Smoke Jaguar is that they're too stupid to actually run.
All right,
It's actually
last
one of those
North
big
Korean
flaws.
joke.
Go ahead.
If we take the
Like,
lead in
even
the crowd,
listening
these
anyway.
people give up nukes.
What? Even I'm not that offensive. And I don't mind committing chemical war crimes.
You know,
Alright,
you and my
like I
wife
said, that
are the
was the last
same.
one of the night for that guy. For that
Actually,
specific
one of the-
category, I'll leave it alone.
One of the funnier things about my life is that Beth didn't really know what chemical warfare was until I explained it. You know, anytime you spray a spider to death with aerosol, it looked at you funny. She's like, chemical warfare then. She just said it with that most bubble. That's how you do it?
Also,
Perfect then.
this trapper has got half of the team,
Oh.
Oh no.
and I can't get to
Oh,
the other
geez.
person because she's up on a ledge.
Oh God.
So she's just basically gonna die because the net is gonna kill her very slowly. Yeah,
There's no
There's
way to
nothing
get back
back.
up there.
Training and
No.
discipline. Respect
that's why you want to be on the same level as everyone.
party lacks both.
Oh,
These
moving
are
on.
things we all learned in Left 4 Dead 2, kids.
I don't know which way. Bomber.
I got a med pack for you.
Cool. There is a med station here, but it needs a battery.
Yes. So instead, I'm gonna use a med pack. Now get the fuck over here.
Yes,
But,
I got the battery.
But anyways,
This is one of my. Okay.
yeah. So in terms of fan fiction stuff, like we all have our own takes on different things. In particular,
Oh, yeah.
what is your favorite sci-fi series?
Favorite sci-fi series? I'm gonna have to think on that for a second.
Give me your favorite
Really?
sci-fi, and then give me your favorite fantasy.
I would say that it's a coin flip for favorite sci-fi. I really like what Firefly did. That's kind of the thing. And I know a lot of people see Firefly as like, this tragic young flower cut short because of executive meddling. But really, I did like Firefly because it was a space western, and it's kind of what life would be like, sort of,
Yeah.
in early space flight humanity.
So
You
I would
only
argue.
have-
I would argue that the Mandalorian kind of picked up the whole space western thing from Firefly, who got it from Cowboy Bebop in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And someone said,
And I'm out of ammo.
And then as for fantasy, I've got to either get to Dark Crystal because it was a nice to watch as a child, and that left an indelible scar on me. Or I like Warhammer Fantasy because it's grim, it's dark, but it's not that grim and dark up until the writers decided to shoot the setting, and then bring it back, I guess, or at least they're planning to for some fucking cockamamie reason.
Yeah.
Dark Crystal was good. I like Dark Crystal. That, I haven't watched Dark Crystal in a while, and I need to go rewatch that.
Yeah, roughneck.
I like Dark Crystal because it had a weird post-apocalyptic vibe. Because the main characters don't meet any other sentient beings other than like the little swamp. It's like very clear little swamp people like in decline demographic.
Yeah,
Which,
that's fair.
Yep.
But no, it was neat. It was the story of a lone chosen one going through a wasteland to find the ultimate whatever. And at the end of the day, all he's doing is reuniting ascended beings, which is kind of cool in a trippy way.
So for me, my favorite sci-fi is Outlaw Star.
Okay.
That's my favorite sci-fi
I think
setting.
I remember Outlaw. Isn't Outlaw Star the one with oh god, I think I only remember the cat girl's name. It's Aisha Clan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I just remember because I like 80s cat girls because they're like these feral, giant-haired, fucking muscular killing machines. And
I mean, I understand that completely. I'm just amused because the way you said that was, oh, I remember the cat girl, and I'm like, what?
The cat girl left the most left on me as a character. What do you want?
She's a
completely
memorable
understand
ass
that.
character.
It's like one of my.
She's Xena warrior princess, and she decided to go slumming it through New York. Like, what do you want?
That's fair. It's like one of my favorite things out of, I guess, anime-esque was a short that was created for an anime expo, I think in Osaka back in the 70s or 80s, where they basically paid no attention to intellectual property rights, and it's just 10 minutes of a girl in a bunny suit running around punching Darth Vader in the face.
That does sound exceptional.
Sounds great.
I'll have to find it and throw it into the server again.
Yeah.
Sounds like high entertainment.
I have it saved somewhere on my computer.
But I will say the other, the one that is my favorite, favorite fantasy is Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer is my favorite fantasy world.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. So this is interesting. It's just a recent flop of anime, right? The Japanese discovered D&D, and then just decided to keep writing animes about it, and that's all I'm convinced about. Because all the D&D tropes are in Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's based off of his actual D&D experience.
I was about to say, isn't
Exactly.
like one stage removed, the gods are basically just playing D&D with the characters?
Which is actually what it is. Oh god, not again!
Or like Shield Hero. Shield Hero is the same fucking concept, basically. It's
Yeah,
just that
you're
you've
not wrong.
reduced classes to like these archetypes instead. Which is funny because me and a buddy worked on a D&D variant like that, which is actually kind of funny. Where all the classes
Rastalia is precious and cannot be harmed.
Somehow
Oh, dear.
the demon host could not be injured.
Well, Demon Hosts
Oh,
can
I'm
be
back.
like that, you know.
Yeah, they get weird.
What is this Ogren doing?
I don't know. Because he's supposed to
Whatever
throw aggro
Ogrins
and
do.
That's one of those things where
He's only
most
got-
players in this game I've noticed are either amazingly on the ball or I don't know what they're doing.
It's like, hello,
Yeah.
you're brain dead.
That sounds like Ogrins and Fluff too.
Yeah.
A good Ogren's like a smart Saint Bernard, and a bad Ogren's
Yeah.
like a dumb
Although
Labrador.
interestingly, larger lore, the Ogren are getting smarter, not just boneheads, but in general.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, mankind's always been trending towards more psychic potential, and more psychic potential generally requires intelligence.
You're not wrong.
Generally.
Smart
You don't
people are
have to.
psychic. Oh man.
I've been having
Well,
a
the
lot
thing
of
is
fun
that
with,
if
oh,
you're
hey,
a
they're all
dumb
here.
psyker, this is the thing, I think it's a natural selection thing, because dumb psychers become demon hosts really quickly.
Here's my thing about it. It feels like, okay, this guy's absolutely trolling me.
Oh, is he just like interrupting it as he goes?
Yeah. I think he's a bot.
They're all players, so I don't know. Also, I've never seen an ogre bot.
Not like a bot like that. I think that somebody's botted the account and like scripted it or something. Because he's
All
very
right.
slow.
Possibly, I don't know.
I guess you could do that to passively get gear, right? Without playing.
Yeah.
That's, why would you? I don't get it, but,
After a certain point, this game's RNG, and then the store system, I completely understand.
fair enough.
Can I reload my gun, please?
I
Before
kept trying
get
to kill him, and I stabbed him
Like a
3
true
times with the
guardsman.
charge, and it wouldn't complete the animation every time. Alright, you're good now.
Like a true guardsman, you must beat him to death with your las rifle. Make
I'd
the
love
Emperor
to.
proud.
I don't have a
Angry,
butt hit.
angry
I have an
show
auto
noises.
rifle right now, so.
Actually, let me have a button hit. Try the what is it? There's a C stick. If it's the gamepad, I don't know what it is for you.
It should be
It's like an alt.
It should be mouse 5, I think. I think that's what it's bound to by default.
Yeah, it's like a weird. Everybody's got like a secondary melee.
Yeah, no, like mine turns on a flashlight.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, that's handy, I guess. it's not.
It is very dark in some places.
That's fair. It's entirely fair.
Like some missions, like
it
it is a blessing.
Somehow being riddled with disease
How
and
did you do
supernatural pop gives you perfect night vision.
Whistle a tune or haul me out.
I'm seriously gonna trade the staff out for an auto gun.
It's
I have the
probably
range
better bet.
damage of a part.
Oh, you got the Tormentor stuff? The one that has like the
trauma.
Yeah. I don't like that one. I think the lightning one's better.
I haven't unlocked the lightning one yet. I don't think.
Yeah, you get it later.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a big bundle of stuff.
This game is fucking beautiful, though. We're in a cavern.
This has been the most
Yeah,
interesting
but I mean,
map we've been through so far, by the way.
But
Like that
Battletech's got
bridge
excellent map
sequence
design.
was crazy.
That's why I just it really brings a hive city to life, which is difficult to do. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the scale, like, I will say this. One things I've noticed over the last, like, 3 or 4 years, even the bad 40K games do a great job of capturing the scale.
Well, it's because for the longest time the writers have fumbled at scale, and so now people are trying to give it a definitive visual. And I think they're nailing it more or less, which is good. Like I played Space Hulk. I played Deathwing, Space Hulk when it came out, and yeah, it wasn't a great game, but my God, they kept what Space Hulk's supposed to feel like.
Hey, we lost the Ogren. Oh well.
That's alright. Let's be fair. That's fine.
Yeah.
An Imperial Fallout commander would ask, did the Ogre go down with his
He probably heard us
grenades?
peripherally. Like somehow he ended up on Twitch seeing it and he was like, these bastards, they're talking shit about me.
Fuck you. I'm gonna deliberately sabotage you.
You're just a
yes,
bunch of
please,
fan
guys.
fiction writers. And it's like, we're still better at the game than you.
See, for my 2 cents, I don't think that if you were to bring back the mercs, it would actually be that negative. I don't think that many fairy tales.
Snipers down.
Most people that follow the Star League is a memory at this point. You know, it's not real to them. It's like King Arthur is
Right,
the English.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know how King Arthur felt about, like, the Persians or like, whoever he was fighting at the time, the Jews.
Sorry, King Arthur is that,
or Richard the Lionheart? 'Cause those are
Richard
two very different
Lionheart,
people.
how about that?
We actually do know a lot about him because Saladin's journals. We have them.
Oh, okay.
And that was the
And
Muslim
Saladin-
warlord he was fighting.
And Saladin was actually very, very respectful about Richard. He very much liked him as an enemy.
Well, I mean, at that point, it all kind of fell under the same category, people of the book.
Yeah.
But then you also had God, what's the term? Ow, that flamer really does not like you.
No, he is
Let me see if I can do something about that.
he's currently pissing all over my face with his flamer.
I mean, you usually have to pay for that.
I know, right?
Napalm showers.
I guess
just
if
like
he
you
means
didn't
gonna have
go
to
to
pay
Russia
for it.
God, this is why we need Napalm Sticks to Kids. It's always a relevant song.
Oh, God, that is a... Oh, wow, we are down to one dude. Yeah, we'll be alright. They'll be alright. He says, hopefully.
It's a zealot.
No, it's the
Well-
other psyker.
Oh.
Well... Alright, well, first priority is getting you up
Rub your hand
wherever
out.
you ended up being.
Yeah. I'm over here.
Ah, there you are, I see you.
Actually, this might be an old hybrid question, but I gotta ask, 'cause I actually don't know who you two. What are your top 5 favorite mechs?
Top 5
Oh.
favorite mechs. Okay.
Before we get there, I realized I never did the fantasy and sci-fi stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Answer your question.
So as regards for sci-fi, That honestly changes fairly often, just as I discover a lot of new things. For the longest time, it was Star Wars, especially when I was younger. Then kind of became 40k. Okay, cool. The bird's here. But as it stands right now, I'm not entirely sure that I have a dedicated one.
If you had to
In
pick
regards-
your top one right now, what would it be? Like
All right,
preference-wise.
All right, let's. I'm going
40K?
to stall as I get on the bird. You know what? Fine, we'll go with 40k just in general because there's a lot of stuff I do really like from 40k.
Okay.
Yeah. In regards
Okay,
for fantasy, it's not really a franchise as such, but a lot of the older, more folklore tale-based stuff. If you go urban fantasy, let's go with Dresden. Let's go with that.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
I'm actually surprised that The Witcher didn't come up if you're talking about the folkloric, because The Witcher books are actually really, really good.
Oh yeah, they are.
I like The Witcher, but I don't think that's it. It's not that good of a fantasy, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair, because it is essentially a kill monster with rock, paper, scissors. But it is neat in that they're not just because I think my problem with D&D is D&D is obsessed with ecology, right? So every monster has to have this like realistic attachment to like the weird environment. You know what I mean? Like certain creatures eat only souls, but they're actually part of like a holistic necromantic environment. You can find them in places that are like sort of thing, you know? Whereas I like that in The Witcher, a lot of these monsters act like real monsters. Like, oh, it's an engorged, murderous fetus. Yeah, that was a stillborn baby that no one buried. I like that. No, I mean it's more how fantasy kind of was in a storybook kind of sense. You know what I mean? Than
Yeah,
D&D,
kind of
where it's like
explaining
trolls live in swamps because they're trolls. You know that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Oh, changing my science fiction answer because I forgot about this for some reason. The Aliens franchise, by far.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
That makes a lot more sense to me. I was like, I'm surprised he didn't say Halo or Aliens.
Yeah, Aliens by far. For some reason, that one decided to fall out of my head for a bit, and that is almost entirely thanks to the audiobook version. This is going to sound really niche. The audiobook version of the rejected script for Aliens 3, which, despite being a rejected script, ended up forming about 80% of the expanded universe's lore.
Yep, I read all the Dark Horse comics, so I know that stuff. Yeah.
But they got the actual actors from Aliens, the guys whose characters persist in that script. So Michael Biehn, and then the android whose name I forget. It's a really famous actor. He's been around forever. Those two return.
He always dies.
Yeah, he always does. But those two return, and it's essentially they're floating around in space. You have Ripley, I believe, is still impregnated with the alien and all that. But then the Soviets show up, and it's the Soviet Space Corps that they're working with, trying to contain the aliens. And it was a pretty good, like, not that different other side of thing for a movie that was written during the Cold War.
Interesting.
Yeah, it plays pretty
I
well.
kind of like that because in a lot of the more modern alien lore, it's just Wayland Yutani and nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they don't. It's also one of those things where, with the exception of the Dark Horse comics, that rejected script formed the basis for the expanded universe for so long. And then I want to say in 2018 or 2019 is when the tabletop stuff came out and massively expanded it. And honestly, I would heartily recommend that stuff as well.
I agree.
No, I'd actually have to change my sci-fi settings. I just remember the fucking fundament of my the sci-fi was Dune. I read all the books in high school. It's just Dune is so much of this giant monolithic thing that you can't really attach to most other popular media. I forget it for a minute. But Dune is my shit.
Controversial hot take. I think Dune is stupid.
Dune or Dune?
You know what?
I think
you
Dune
can
is
hurt
stupid.
me, but you can't kill me with words. And
This sign's not going to stop me because I can't read.
I think, yeah. I just think that Dune is just way too all over the place. it's got no through line for what it's doing. It's got interesting concepts, sure. And it feels like an Art Deco piece. And I don't like Art Deco.
I mean,
So
that's
here's the
fair, but
thing.
I would argue there is a single continuous plot line. I keep cutting you off, Shotgun, and I do apologize.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Because the ultimate
You don't cut me
persistent
off, I
theme...
won't stop.
Fair
Right,
enough.
go ahead.
The ultimate persistent theme through Dune is essentially... This is how fucked up we get when we just fall to consistent hero worship and what that excuses.
I guess.
It also runs on this concept of what if you were the one, and because that's the point of our main character Paul here, is that he becomes this man. He is
Just
built
got dropped in the shit. Holy crap.
And at the end of the day, he just manipulates society until he realizes there's a point where he can no longer do it any good, and then he willingly has himself killed. I think it's an interesting thought, but the thing is, to me, I do agree that Dune kind of feels more like, here's a setting, and characters are in it, but it's mostly the setting. So reading the books is kind of a slog for someone with ADD, because Frank Herbert has this nasty habit of panning the camera, and he is in the active cinematography. There's a sword fight scene, and then I'm going to talk about the sand coming in and whizzing off the sunlight as they do, and look at the sand pouring into this chasm, the underground sand chasm there. I'm like, Frank, I understand there's sand on the planet Dune. I have been thoroughly put into your universe, man. I'm here. But you can tell me about the sword fight now. You know what I mean? I think that's the one problem the books really suffer from, is they don't really care about what's going on. The world itself is more important to Frank than anything else.
Somebody's a little through. Yeah. You're like, I'm sorry
sorry.
that you got dropped instantly because you're a dumbass, but
So y'all are way the heck over there, and we just got here. Anyways, so I will admit, probably my favorite parts of Dune are the stuff that's implied, not stated.
Oh yeah.
So you do have the political machinations of the Bene Gesserit and the greater Imperial Court and all that. My favorite part of it is honestly their take on the whole why they don't use AI and stuff like that. Because it's not the usual, the AI rose up and tried to crush everyone. It's essentially humanity comes to the conclusion together that this stuff is a crutch that is holding them back and decides to reject it.
Yeah,
It's not the toaster came up and tried to eat us. It's why don't, instead of building better computers, we build better human and then use them to do that sort of thing. And that's where you get the Mentats and a lot of the other stuff.
I understand the idea behind it, but I just think that's dumb.
That's fair. It's just an alternate concept than what's... Dude, you died up there. There is nothing I can do to get to you. And he just left. Alright. Chill.
Such a love lobby matchmaking.
That was interesting.
It was quite funny. He died up there and he just gave up.
Like, alright.
And it wasn't even the person who was mad before. The other person was talking shit as well. He was like, noob. I'm like, you almost died yourself in the same manner.
Well, I don't know, man. I just learned a couple days ago, it's some stupid big number, like 30 to 25% of all people don't have an internal monologue.
Yeah.
30 to 25% of people have what?
No internal
They
monologue.
do not have an internal monologue. So,
Oh,
you know when you
yeah.
think about a thing, and like
That part weirded me
which
out when I
essentially
found that
tells
out.
me that you almost don't have any self-reflection capacity, really, at that point, you know? You can't
that's,
mull an
what if it's
idea
just
over.
expressed differently?
Yeah, you can't. I don't know how you express internal thoughts if you don't have a monologue. You know what I mean? If you don't kind of think in your own voice and like, well, what would I do if I did this, or what if I thought about this way? Just the fact that
Also, with
they're
my
human
mom.
beings.
To use an example, my mom, English is her third language, and at one point I asked her if she thought back in her first or second languages, and ultimately it came down to whatever she was using most at the moment.
Which is fair. That's how the brain cognates. I'm just saying it's fascinating to think that for a bunch of people, for a sizable amount of the human population, it's just static in there. You know, it's just a quiet void, and thoughts occur within them like a cave, and then just kind of echo off into distance. I can't fucking imagine, man.
Yeah.
I just really want to put him on blast for a second there for his dick move earlier.
No worries.
He just says,
Just, hi, I'm shy now because I was an asshole, and I realized I was an asshole.
well, such is life.
Such is life.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, stream. Alright, I appreciate that. Now, you just won my heart over, Sovi, in Darktide. Wherever you are, I appreciate that.
Stay hydrated.
Hydrated,
This is the
hydrated.
threat.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
I used to have that on a water bottle because I was out in Yuma, and that place is pretty much as close to the sun as you can get on Earth.
Oh yeah.
It is hotter more consistently than anywhere in the Middle East.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Yuma, Arizona, hottest armpit
Yep.
on the planet consistently.
That's one of
Oh,
my
I
favorite
knew
goddamn
Arizona
things.
was pretty hot, which kind of prepared me for being out in the deserts. But I didn't realize it was that close to it.
Yeah.
Dude, so my first time I went to Arizona, I'm a little 13-year-old Californian, and stopped at my mom's bowl to my aunt's giant, ridiculous mansion that she has in Arizona. And I'm like, it's warm out, sure, but California, it's summer, I know what's what. I step out of my bare feet on the pavement, I can feel my skin sizzle, dude. That is
Yeah.
hot in Arizona, and Phoenix is just a fucking monument to man's hubris. We built this giant concrete heat magnet in the desert.
I actually like Phoenix, if only because they actually do a lot of good in regards to heat diffusion. They certainly do a better job than most of Las Vegas does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which I'm like,
Those
Las
are
Vegas
most of
does one
Phoenix.
job.
I think most of Phoenix is newer, is kind of the thing, right? Like most of it's been
Yeah.
built. Yeah.
Well, I also
Phoenix
remember when
was
Las
beat-
Vegas was going through their weird family-friendly Vegas phase, which was odd.
Yeah.
Oh. That is a sentence I thought I'd never hear.
Yeah, that was
Family-friendly
the-
Vegas.
That was the mid
People tried a
2000s.
lot of weird rebranding in like the 70s, man. It happens.
Yeah. Oh, that was the mid 2000s.
That almost makes it sound like non-creepy Catholic priest.
It's the fact that you had to specify that makes me nervous.
Fair enough.
Well, it's like they
Yeah.
exist, but also it's weird.
I don't know. I've met many. I think the problem is most of white America has not met like a hardcore Mexican Catholic priest. Those people, you don't get any touchy vibes. You just get the vibe of, all right, I'm going to do what you say, or you will personally guide me to the gates of hell. I see.
They are rather hardcore.
Well, it's a different world down there.
It definitely is. But to get back around to writing,
Of course.
we talked about it earlier. What fan fiction project are you working on there, Shotgun? We talked about
Right
ours.
now, it's just one big AU. It's technically two. So I long ago decided when I got into Battletech, look, I really can't. I can do some things in the inner sphere, but realistically, the scale that I like to write at, because I used to write for 40K, I just don't. I don't have the time, unfortunately, to do all the in-depth research to really make sure I'm not stepping on Canon's toes too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I like to do. Is sort of I treat fan fiction writing as almost like trail walking. You know, leave it kind of as you found it. You know, don't fucking. And then Kerensky came back from the dead, and it was all good. Like no.
It's like, fuck that shit. That's
So-
stupid.
But, yeah. So mostly what I do is deep periphery stuff,
Damon Host,
and it's fun to do.
Oh my god.
God damn it again!
Yes! I'm gonna die again! Because this is my life.
Well now. Ow. That just happened.
Welcome to 40K. Life is pain, and you just triggered the possessed.
That was honestly hilarious because as soon as I tagged it, I just hear, "Oh god damn it!"
I did my best. I literally defended against that.
Yeah, that you did. Oh, hey, that actually worked.
Crossplay is such a pain in the ass because its concept. I mean, the Witch was basically the same, but the Witch always felt so much more glass cannon-y. The Demon Host is so tanky.
I think ultimately it's a bonus boss, but there's not really a point to beating the boss.
Yeah, you don't get anything cool from it.
Yeah, well, you do get something from it. So
admiration of your peers and an achievement?
No, you get better loot drop chance.
Really?
Yes, you do get better loot drop chance from it. I did find that out later, is that like when you do the mini bosses and such, it helps to up your rarity chance.
I think there's only one mini boss, I think. Hey, I killed him in the walls.
There is 2 actually.
Who's the
There
other
was the
one?
Plague Ogre, which counts. The Beast of Nurgle, and then I believe then technically.
Well, I mean, usually like only in one spawn.
Oh yeah.
So
Because I mean, sometimes
the
we get
Demon
both,
Host
but-
and the Plague Ogre and both count as sub bosses, because you can have
Okay.
them and not end the mission.
Anyway, so essentially, most of what I've been writing is I've got one project that I like to just call the Outer Cluster, which was my attempt at, hey, why don't I take the space? So the region is the exact same amount of planets as the Rimworld Republic at its height. So it's about 400 planets. Their systems,
ever map that
individual
out?
systems.
I don't know that they did.
They gave a rough estimate though at peak, so you know about the rough size, right? And what I wanted to do was essentially make the new world, because the way I conceptualized is if the inner sphere is Europe, right? It's the old world. Then the clan space is the far exotic east, where everyone's weird and culturally distinct and alien.
Okay.
Then I would like to create. I would like to create the new world, where a bunch of people got off on a boat from Europe and went like, "Hey, let's try it our own way." And then the various shenanigans ensue that come with human colonization.
So you're basically just saying America.
Well, yes and no. Really, I feel like it feels more like South America because it's also a bunch of these weird rogue ideologies. I'm gonna run off into the proverbial jungle and just be until you rediscover me as like a small bandit kingdom, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Admittedly, we are still finding new civilizations, new ancient civilizations in South America fairly often.
Yeah, South
Exactly.
America is
So
not a widely explored area.
Yeah. Although they're doing some
which is
interesting stuff with that, with essentially
LiDAR, yeah? I remember they were just...
LiDAR for penetrating the jungle canopy. I couldn't remember the actual name.
Well, it's interesting because when it's recontextualized South American history, all these giant, former sunken cities we found, is that the Aztecs weren't this grand empire. The Aztecs were what was left after the first Spanish explorers brought smallpox. The Aztecs are actually the blood-soaked raider kingdom that remained after everyone else collapsed due to their geographic isolation and the fact that they bathed regularly because their blood rituals were different.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest little twists of history that the reason the Aztecs survived was so many other civilizations within. And the crazy thing to me is it was been a couple hundred years. You went from there's these sprawling, multi-million, populous cities along the Amazon River because one Spaniard in his cough went up the whole length of it on a box hunting trip. All those people died, and their ancestors fled into the jungles and had to survive a subsistence existence until the Aztecs found them and enslaved them. And I really like that. I don't like it. It's tragical history. I think it's fun. You know what I mean? Because for the longest time, we just assumed the Aztecs were the only human town.
History well enough to comment one way or another, honestly.
That's fair.
I got the basic stuff they taught me in LA middle school, and that's about it.
So nothing.
The funny thing is, I'm descended from original crewmen of Cortez.
Nice.
That's why I know this nice shit. Because half of it's oral history that my family kept passing down, and the rest of it's stuff I just decided to dig on because it's my history. And it's a very interesting story, which is why, like I said, I wanted to kind of immortalize it in Battletech fashion. So I have over 700 years worth of this region's history in broad strokes. I haven't gotten individuals or anything like that, like political movements. God, it's going to be a mess. But the broad idea is that this area is hard to reach, but not impossible. And so what essentially happens is throughout the centuries, you get like drip feeding of factions from the Inner Sphere coming over. So the first group left during the Terran Alliance's heyday, like their halcyon days. And I thought it would be hilarious if it was essentially this gathering of intellectuals, scientists, and the donor class that made up a lot of the Terran Alliance. Because the Terran Alliance was a giant globalist project. So it was run by a lot of the same people that run our world. You know, these weren't kings and warlords, they were politicos, wealthy industrialists, scientists who earned celebrity status because it assisted the government and maybe pushing certain legislation. Anyway, and so a cabal of these individuals gathered in sort of super scientist, like this sort of polymath of his era, even though he was mostly a thief who stole and grifted ideas off of the people around him. Steve Jobs. And so he convinced the government, hey, you know, I want to start my own country because I've been upping my parts for so many decades, and I have this gaggle of intelligent, qualified people who have crowded around me like mobs. I'm going to petition the Alliance government to start a deep periphery colonization project. And this is before the rebellions that caused it to collapse. So, and the Terran Alliance is like a barrel way to make money. Like, we're going to sign a bunch of stuff into spill. You know?
Have you ever read Starship Troopers by chance?
Yeah, I did.
This feels not as a point of criticism, just as an observation. It feels a lot like the revolt of the scientists that he talks about.
Yeah, that's kind of my vibe. But that's sort of what I was going for. Is that they said it's not really a revolt. It's they decided we're going to make our perfect utopian society, grift the government to do it, fly off into the stars, and it'll be Star Trek. That's it. These guys took primitive jump ships and did away. The KF drive, there's such thing as a primitive KF drive. And as best I understand it, the primitive KF drive just takes double the amount of time, right? And I've put this region roughly towards the core, so it's forward off the Lyran periphery is where the outer cluster lies. And it's about the same distance as plan spacing. But the difference being is that there is no real nebula to disguise it, so if you really wanted to look out there, eventually you would start seeing things. But it's still a good distance. And more importantly, though, they took the same trip. Now, if I'm trying to remember correctly, Kerensky's Exodus was like 12 years, right? It was like a decade. It was only like 2.
I don't remember.
I wish I had the exact number. But the gist is these people did the same journey, but took double the time. And they had no deep exploration star charts. You know,
12 years.
12, yeah, so 24 functional. Except the issue is that since these guys, again, this is the first time anybody had really gone, hey, we're gonna go deep, and they went with like a colony, like worth of people. We're talking like a proper population, a bunch of these primitive jump ships. And when they went, they started doing the Star Trek thing, like, every star we find, we're gonna scientifically analyze it, land, big landings, and like see stuff. And inevitably what happened is like half the fleet, aliens, this shit, yeah. But the real, then the reality of like space travel sets in. You know what I mean? And these people are starting to realize that, hey, our leadership are a bunch of motherfuckers who've just like lived in an office and like a lab their time. They don't actually know how to practically run a society. And it started becoming a problem. And eventually, by the time this group arrives, the scientists, the initial like group leading them, had this goofy little like Bohemian Grove cult thing they used to do, which was more of like a boys club kind of thing, like the Bohemian Grove is for real. You know, it's not necessarily like an evil cult. It's just, oh, this is what the rich and powerful do to blow off steam. They do weird ritualistic shit because it's weird and avant-garde, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it started off as a drunken in-joke and then became a tradition. So the idea is this group were really into Bacchus as like this goofy concept of like, oh, we're going to drink and revel and have weird sex parties. And it descended into a human sacrifice cult. And that's the Church of the Dark Star is born. These people arrive finally, and they worship a black hole now. Because the initial scientific reason, the reason they gave the
Sarah, just take me back.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm going on forever, so I'll try to shorten this.
No worries. Shotgun, I would pay you to trap you in an art college for a while.
You probably shouldn't, because I don't do good with these people. I don't like academics. I've been around them for too long.
Despite the fact that both my parents come from that background, yeah, I don't either. So,
No, look. I mean, there's one thing about the noble effort to further like human intelligence, and then there's also the fact that you're a human being, fallible, and human beings who are told they're smart too often tend to get a fucking idea about themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But with that, I think we're gonna stop there for now because Darktide decided
No
to
problem.
kick us off the servers.
Womp womp.
But
Right, I guess
I think it's a
everyone
good
will have to
start to
hear
the
my
writers'
ridiculous-
room.
yeah.
We talked about some projects. We got to talk about the OGL and that nightmare a little bit. You missed that beginning half.
I've been aware, so I know it's a fucking mess.
But yeah, we'll definitely be around next week. We'll pick up doing this again, talk about more projects and other things that we're doing. Feel free to check me out. I am Arcos Raid. You can check me out on YouTube. Start playing games for all of my content that is related to RPGs. I'm joined here with Haji Bob and Lord
Howdy.
Shotgun. If you guys have anything to add before we close out.
Nope, I'm good.
Don't trust Capellans and always pay your bills.
Alrighty.
Fair enough.
Everybody
Good
have a wonderful rest of their day. And bye-bye.
Mhm.